In one dimension, dogs in mech suits enslave humanity. In another, a rainbow jelly bean king tries to do unspeakable things to Morty in a bathroom stall. And somewhere in space, a cheerful assassin gleefully shouts, "Oh boy, here I go killing again," right before getting splattered by a flying spaceship. Rick and Morty's wildest characters drop in for one insane episode and then vanish, leaving us with nightmares, memes, and questions. Ever wonder what happened to those one-hit wonders after the credits rolled? Let's find out, if you dare. A polite alien hitman strolls into a pawn shop to buy an antimatter gun from Rick, all smiles and handshakes. Meet Krombopolos Michael, a killer so friendly he'd compliment your grandma before vaporizing her. Rick doesn't judge. 3,000 flurbos and the gun is his. The target, a gaseous blob locked up in a high-security facility. Morty, being Morty, grows a conscience and decides to save this seemingly harmless captive. So K. Michael heads off on his merry way to go killin' again, and Morty races to beat him there. Cue a chaotic jailbreak, a telepathic fart cloud on the loose, guards screaming, laser blasts flying, and our cheerful assassin absolutely thrilled at the carnage. Just when Krombopolos Michael zeroes in on his prey, wham! Morty crash lands Rick's spaceship right on top of him. 1 second he's cocky and cooing, "Oh boy, here I go killing again." The next he's a smear on the pavement. Yes, the galaxy's most enthusiastic murderer gets taken out by a 14-year-old in a panic. Irony much? That untimely splat was the last we ever saw of old K. Michael. A one and done character literally done in one. No resurrection, no cameos, just a red stain and a lesson. In Rick and Morty, even the deadliest killer can get crushed like an ant. So who could possibly top a death that ridiculous? How about a singing cosmic fart that nearly wiped out all life? Morty's big save the day moment doesn't go as planned. The telepathic cloud he rescued, which Morty jokingly calls Fart, turns out to be less cute rainbow friend, more genocidal maniac. At first, Fart earns our trust and a standing ovation with a dreamy David Bowie-style musical number about peace. Morty is mesmerized, but once they escape into open space, this green, gaseous blob casually mentions its plan to cleanse the universe of all carbon-based life. Come again. Cue Morty's face dropping hard. His new friend isn't E.T., it's a mass murderer in the making. Fart starts telepathically popping heads and making whole squadrons of alien soldiers annihilate each other. Morty realizes he's made a huge mistake, like end all life on Earth level mistake. Desperate times, desperate measures. Morty grabs the very antimatter gun he tried to keep away from Krombopolos Michael and uses it on Fart. In true Rick and Morty fashion, Morty ends up executing the being he risked everything to save. One moment Fart is serenading the cosmos, the next it's disintegrating into cosmic dust mid-song. Morty learned the hard way that no good deed goes unpunished, especially not in this show. Fart's Bowie-esque swan song is over, leaving Morty with a hollow victory and one hell of a story. So we've had a killer killed and a savior revealed as a villain. What's next? How about man's best friend becoming mankind's supreme overlord? 1 minute you're playing fetch with your dog, the next he's donning a mech suit and enslaving humanity. That's what happens when Rick helps Morty's family dog Snuffles by boosting its intelligence. Snuffles, soon renaming himself Snowball, because my fur is pretty and white, goes from adorable pooch to brilliant tyrant overnight. He builds an army of cybernetic canines, puts Jerry on a literal leash, and even asks Summer in a perfectly cultured voice, "Where are my testicles, Summer?" Yikes. The doggy uprising has begun. Under Snowball's command, hyper-intelligent hounds start capturing humans to serve as pets. It's Planet of the Apes, but with Pomeranians. Yet amidst the chaos, Snowball still loves his boy Morty. When Morty tearfully pleads for his family's freedom, it strikes a nerve. Snowball realizes he can't hurt the human who cared for him. In a shockingly sweet twist, he chooses compassion. Instead of ruling Earth, Snowball opens a portal to a new dimension where dogs can live out their power fantasies without hurting anyone else. In a final farewell that actually tugs at your heart, Snowball nuzzles Morty goodbye and disappears into his doggy paradise, never to return. He got a happy ending, a rarity in Rick and Morty, living as the beloved leader of a smarter than human dog civilization. Snowball's chapter closed on a gentle note, but don't get too comfortable. Our next one-off character wasn't so lucky. He's currently trapped in a battery, cursing Rick's name. How would you feel if you discovered your entire world exists just to charge Rick's car battery? That's the cruel cosmic joke awaiting Zeep Zanflorp, the top scientist of a micro-universe Rick created. When Rick's car battery starts acting up, he and Morty shrink down and enter the miniverse inside, where they meet Zeep, a genius alien who's basically Rick with blue skin and an ego to match. Zeep has no clue his civilization is just a power source for Rick's ship. In fact, Zeep built his own tiny universe to generate electricity for his people, thinking he was so clever. Rick is not amused. What follows is a brain-melting sci-fi face-off. Rick and Zeep despise each other on sight. It's like two Ricks in a smugness contest. They even get trapped in a third, even tinier Teenaverse together and have to cooperate disastrously to escape. Morty, disgusted by their egos, literally abandons them and hangs out with primitive tree people until Rick figures it out. In the end, Rick and Morty return to normal size, leaving Zeep and his micro-world completely shaken. Rick warns Zeep to drop the science shenanigans, no more mini-verses, and seals the battery, effectively enslaving Zeep's whole universe to power his ride. Harsh. So where is Zeep now? Still in that battery universe, presumably lecturing his people on why creating mini-verses is a big no-no. He's alive and stuck in an existential nightmare, forced to keep the lights on for Rick forever. At least he's still breathing. Not every one-shot character gets off that easy. The next guy finds an unlikely friend in Rick and still doesn't live to tell the tale. Even Rick Sanchez has a favorite bathroom, a private, pristine toilet on a remote planet reserved solely for him. He treats this spot like sacred ground, so when he finds someone else casually using his personal toilet, Rick loses his mind. Enter Tony, a mild-mannered alien widower who stumbled on Rick's secret crapper and decided to hang out there. Tony isn't evil or violent, he's just lonely and really enjoys the peace and quiet of that toilet with a view. Rick goes full maniac, trying to scare Tony off. He booby traps the restroom with humiliating holograms and other twisted pranks to torment whoever sits on the bowl. But Tony, he rolls with it, even finding Rick's over-the-top tactics oddly poetic. His chill kindness cracks Rick's angry facade. The two actually bond over their shared loneliness, and for a moment Rick almost accepts Tony as a friend. He even half invites Tony on a future adventure, a huge step for a lone wolf like Rick. Naturally, the universe snatches this happiness away. Tony dies off screen in a freak accident, because of course he does. Rick hears the news, and despite all his bluster, you can tell it hurts. In the final gut punch, Rick sits on his beloved toilet and triggers his own pre-recorded hologram trap, forcing him to listen to himself mock the friend who's now gone. Ouch. One episode, one unexpected friendship, and one heartbroken Rick left behind. Alright, that got heavy. Let's lighten up with... Oh no, the next one's just plain unsettling. Here comes the story of a talking cat that literally no one wants to talk about. This furry enigma literally appears out of nowhere. One day, a cat just shows up in the Smith house, and it can talk. No portal, no sci-fi collar, no explanation. The cat insists everyone stop asking questions and just have fun, and it convinces Jerry to take it down to Florida for a wild spring break. Jerry, of course, goes along with it, because why not? Chaos ensues. The cat causes a mess at a beach party. It even poops in a sandcastle. And an angry mob chases it and Jerry off the beach. Rick swoops in with his spaceship to save Jerry's butt, but his curiosity about this talking cat is piqued. He scans the cat's mind to find out why it can talk. Big mistake. Whatever Rick sees is so heinous that he and Jerry instantly vomit their guts out in horror. We don't get to see it. We just see Rick and Jerry freaking out and hurling. It's that bad. Rick immediately erases Jerry's memory of the incident and yeets the cat out of the ship mid-air. We never learn the cat's backstory, and that's probably for the best. The last we see, the talking cat lands on its feet in Florida and slinks away to ruin someone else's life. It remains one of the show's weirdest unanswered questions. Even Rick didn't want to know. And if Rick doesn't want to know, you definitely don't. Alright, palate cleansed. Because up next is a one-off character with a real emotional punch, Morty's first love, Planetina, who proved even a Captain Planet knockoff can break your heart. Meet Planetina, a beautiful eco-warrior summoned from the elements. moments, basically Captain Planet's cooler cousin. When 14-year-old Morty meets her at an environmental rally, he falls head over hormones in love. Incredibly, Planetina loves him back. She's controlled by 4 Tina-tier teens with elemental rings, and Morty is determined to liberate her from those overbearing handlers. What follows is Morty's most intense romance, and one of his darkest moments. To free Planetina, Morty goes on a bloody rampage, killing all 4 ring bearers in a fit of obsession. With her summoners gone, Morty and Planetina are free to be together, and at first it's a dream come true. They fly around saving ecosystems and making out in active volcanoes. You know, typical new couple stuff by Rick and Morty standards. Morty is totally love-struck, blowing off his family to join Planetina's crusade to save the Earth. But the honeymoon phase literally goes up in flames. Planetina's zeal to cleanse the planet crosses a line when she wipes out a crew of miners in a fiery inferno for polluting. Morty watches in horror as his girlfriend gleefully murders people in the name of Mother Earth. The gloss of first love shatters. In a tearful showdown, Morty breaks up with Planetina, sobbing that he loves her but can't be with her. Planetina cries and flies off, and Morty is left utterly heartbroken, collapsing into Beth's arms in one of the show's most gut-wrenching endings. Where did Planetina go after flying away? Probably to keep saving the Earth in her own extreme way, just without Morty. She only got 1 episode, but she left Morty with lasting trauma and a hefty body count. Morty will recover eventually. But speaking of depravity and trauma, our next character is a literal piece of candy with a dark side, King Jellybean. Morty just wanted a simple fantasy adventure. Instead, he got a nightmare with a pervy piece of candy. In a medieval fairy tale dimension, Morty is hailed as a hero and meets the revered King Jellybean, a jolly, googly-eyed monarch who seems harmless enough. But when Morty goes to the tavern bathroom, Jellybean follows and tries to assault him. Yep, a talking Jellybean tries to molest Morty. Absolutely horrifying. Morty barely fights off the sticky creep and flees, traumatized and done with this quest. Rick senses something's off. As they prepare to leave, Rick quietly reopens a portal and blam, blows Jellybean away mid-celebration. Grandpa's got Morty's back, even if Morty doesn't know it. The villagers remain none the wiser and keep worshiping their dear king. In a post-credits stinger, a couple of townsfolk find Jellybean's secret stash of filthy photos, proof of his unspeakable crimes. Do they come clean? Nope. They promptly burn the evidence and decide it's better for everyone to remember Jellybean as a hero. Dark stuff. This saga is one of the show's most messed up moments, blending gross out shock with bleak humor. Morty leaves that world a bit scarred, and we're left wondering, what did we just witness? After seeing a lovable candy mascot turn out to be a monster, what could possibly be left? How about the actual devil himself, and he's about to learn not to mess with the Smith family? You know things are bad when the actual devil only gets 1 episode. Lucius Needful, a seemingly polite shopkeeper, is Satan in disguise, running a cursed antique store called Needful Things. He gives out trinkets that grant wishes but carry twisted curses. Real monkey's paw stuff. Summer naively takes a job helping him, oblivious to the evil plan, but Rick immediately busts the scam. He invents a machine that removes curses, ruining Lucius's dark business overnight. Frustrated, the devil switches tactics and starts a tech company. Why curse people one by one when you can do it at scale? He woos Summer with a fancy job title, then double crosses her the moment he cashes out. Classic devil move. But Rick and Summer aren't done with old Lucius. They hit the gym, get buff, and deliver a definitive beatdown to the Prince of Darkness. We're talking a full-on ass kicking. At one point, the devil literally gets tossed through a window. In the end, Lucius Needful is left bruised, in a neck brace, and utterly humiliated, swearing revenge that we're pretty sure is never coming. And with that smackdown, we've officially covered the wildest one-shot villains and oddballs in Rick and Morty. 9 outlandish characters who burned bright and burned out in a single episode. But did we miss any? The multiverse is full of 1-episode wonders. Drop a comment about your favorite blink and you miss 'em character we forgot. We might just need to do a sequel. And hey, if you enjoyed this whirlwind tour, consider subscribing for more. Hit that button like Rick hitting the devil's face. In a show this absurd, 1 episode is all it takes to become legend or roadkill. Blink and you'll miss them, but you'll never forget them. After all, staying power in Rick and Morty isn't about longevity. It's about making a twisted splash and then disappearing, leaving us craving more.